341 Meeting Horror Stories. What to avoid at a bankruptcy hearing. Filing for bankruptcy is already stressful enough, but what if your 341 meeting turns into a nightmare? Horror stories of people losing their homes, being accused of fraud, or getting caught off guard by creditors make the 341 meeting sound terrifying. But here's the truth. For most people, the 341 meeting of creditors is quick and uneventful. It usually lasts just 5 to 10 minutes. That said, things can go very wrong if you are not prepared. Today I'm going to walk you through real horror stories from 341 meetings and most importantly, how to avoid them. And if you would like to see how bankruptcy may impact your assets before you file, check out the free bankruptcy exemption calculator linked in the description below. It may help you estimate whether any of your property is at risk. Before we get started, this video is just for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or financial advice. What happens at a 341 meeting? Before we jump into the horror stories, let's quickly go over what happens at every 341 meeting so you know what to expect. First, the bankruptcy trustee verifies your identity. You'll need to bring a government-issued ID, like a driver's license, and your social security card. Next, the trustee will ask you a standard set of questions about your bankruptcy forms, your assets, your debts, and whether anything has changed since you had filed. After that, creditors have the opportunity to appear and ask questions. But here's the good news. Most of the time, they do not actually show up. In most cases, the trustee wraps up the meeting in just a few minutes, and you move on with the process. But that's not always the case. Let's talk about some real 341 meeting horror stories and most importantly, how you can avoid them. Horror story number 1, completely unprepared and confused. Imagine walking into your 341 meeting and when the trustee asks you basic questions like how much your car is worth, you have no idea how to answer. You stumble through these questions, looking completely lost, and the trustee becomes visibly frustrated. This happens when someone files for bankruptcy without fully reviewing their own paperwork. And if they filed without an attorney, it can be even worse. How to avoid this? Before your hearing, review all of your bankruptcy forms carefully. Make sure you understand what's listed, especially when it comes to your assets and debts. If you're working with an attorney, they should prepare you for the questions you'll be asked. And if you're filing without an attorney, make sure you fully understand the bankruptcy process before you file. Horror story number 2, losing property you thought was protected. One of the biggest fear people have is losing their home, car, or other property at their 341 meeting. In some cases, that fear becomes reality. A person files for Chapter 7 bankruptcy assuming their home or car is protected, only to find out in the meeting that it isn't. The trustee informs them that their asset has too much equity and is not fully covered by exemptions, which means it may be sold to pay creditors. How to avoid this? Before filing, check whether your property is protected under federal or state bankruptcy exemptions. If you're unsure, you can use our free bankruptcy exemption calculator in the description to estimate whether your assets may be at risk. If you own valuable assets with significant equity, you may want to explore options like Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which allows you to keep property while restructuring payments. Horror story number 3, finding out you could lose your car or home due to missed payments. Another common horror story, someone files for Chapter 7 bankruptcy to wipe out their debts, thinking their car loan or mortgage is safe, only to learn at the 341 meeting that the lender is moving forward with repossession or foreclosure because they were behind on payments. In Chapter 7, secured debts like car loans and mortgages are not wiped out if you want to keep the property. If you're behind on payments, the lender may still take back the asset even if the bankruptcy eliminates your personal responsibility for the debt. How to avoid this? If you're behind on your mortgage or car payments, Chapter 7 may not be the best choice. Chapter 13 bankruptcy allows you to catch up on past due payments over time and may be a better option if you want to keep your home or car. Before filing, make sure you understand whether you'll be able to keep making payments on these secured debts. Horror story number 4, being accused of bankruptcy fraud. This one is serious. Bankruptcy fraud is a federal crime, and some people unknowingly make mistakes that can lead to major trouble. For example, someone forgets to list an asset like a second bank account or a vehicle they co-own with a family member. The trustee finds out and suddenly they're being questioned about whether they were intentionally hiding assets. Other cases involve people transferring assets like giving a car or large lump sum of money to a friend right before the filing. The trustee may see this as an attempt to hide assets from creditors, which can lead to major consequences. How to avoid this? Be 100% honest and thorough in those bankruptcy forms. List all of your assets. Even if you're unsure whether they need to be included, do not transfer or sell property to friends or family before filing, as this could be seen as an attempt to hide assets. If you have any concerns, reviewing your situation carefully before filing is important. Horror story number 5, a family member gets sued over money you paid them. Here's one horror story people don't expect. Someone repays a family member right before filing bankruptcy. Maybe they paid off a loan they owed to a relative or transferred money as a gift. Then, at the 341 meeting, they find out the trustee can sue that family member to get the money back. Why? Because bankruptcy law tries to prevent people from giving preferential treatment to certain creditors before filing. This means if you paid back a family member while other creditors were left unpaid, the trustee may try to recover that money. How to avoid this? If you've paid back a family member recently, talk to an expert before filing. Those transactions can sometimes be undone by the bankruptcy trustee. In many cases, waiting before filing or considering a different debt relief option may also prevent these issues. Here's some final thoughts on how to prepare. While these horror stories do happen, the good news is that most 341 meetings are pretty straightforward. The best way to avoid issues? Be fully prepared, review your bankruptcy forms carefully, and make sure you understand how your assets are protected. If you're considering bankruptcy and want to estimate how exemptions may apply to your property, check out our free bankruptcy exemption calculator in the description below. It may help give you a better idea of what's at risk before you file. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more insights on bankruptcy, debt relief, and financial planning. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.